Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You could be driving.
Honda has won more U.S. News and World Report awards than any other brand in the last decade. And now you can add another one to the list, being named the best car brand of 2022. Come get your Honda today at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Siegel Lane.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hello and welcome as we start today's edition of the Clarence Bud Show. Here's hoping all is well with you and yours in your little slice of heaven that we refer to as the great state of Louisiana. Since the last time we had the opportunity to talk with you roughly some 24 hours ago. We start today's show talking about Louisiana news and what in recent memory has become the bane of our existence in Baton Rouge, talking about traffic. It is a case of, if I were to apply an old adage to it, things are going to get a whole lot worse before they get better. Sadly, because of the initial construction of our interstate system through Louisiana, we have been saddled with a design flaw that has put us so far behind the 8 ball, it's scary. We already know that Louisiana faces this massive backlog of road and bridge repair and construction needs. And if you've ever driven through Baton Rouge during morning and or evening rush hour, or if you've ever had the privilege of having one idiot behind the wheel pretty much grind the entire city to a halt, you know how important the widening of I-10 is and the addition of another bridge across the Mississippi River. It was anticipated initially that all of this would take, at least the widening of I-10, would take anywhere from 8 to 10 years to accomplish. DOTD announcing this week that contractors will be expanding their efforts where possible to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There obviously will be some factors involved that could prohibit that, safety concerns, noise concerns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they're hoping, if all goes according to plan, that this will cut that 8-year time frame in half, down to 4 years. Now, I don't know about you, but as long as we've been putting up with ungodly traffic in Baton Rouge, 4 years gives me hope. And again, now, that's in an ideal situation. If everything goes according to plan, then 4 years instead of 8 years, considering how things have been done over the years in Baton Rouge and Louisiana, I'll take that as a win. Now, that being said, be advised, for the duration of this period, we need to be on our P's and Q's when behind the wheel. It is a sad commentary, the number of construction workers, road workers, folks in that category that die every year simply because people are not paying attention behind the wheel of a car when driving through a construction zone. These folks are doing their level best to help us improve our quality of life. And the least that we can do on their behalf is to pay attention when driving through areas where they're working. It's just common sense, common decency, and caring about our fellow human beings. I get it. It's frustrating sitting in traffic every freaking day, even sometimes on the weekends when there's just one person on the phone, texting, speeding, tailgating, not using turn signals, whatever, and they cause an accident that brings the city grinding to a halt. Time for us to get better than that, y'all, and move past that. Let's just hope that all goes according to plan, and we will, 4 years from the future, we'll be going, wow, I never thought I'd see the day in Baton Rouge where, traffic would be an afterthought. One can only hope. It was also announced this week, and I think most of us that keep tabs on this sort of thing, quote, saw this coming. The project for a new bridge over the Mississippi River is now expected to cost $2 billion with the B dollars. The latest price tag unveiled by DOTD this week during the latest budget hearing for the Senate Finance Committee. Construction of the bridge itself expected to cost $1.2 billion, but you've got to factor into that another $800 to $900 million for the connectors to be constructed in addition to the bridge. Really doesn't do anything to have just the bridge. You have to have efficient access to and from the bridge. That, of course, is a higher estimate than what DOTD had given us just a month ago. But you figure into that supply chain crisis, you figure into that ever escalating inflation, you figure into that a labor shortage as well, and now you find yourself with a $2 billion price tag. While it may sound like a lot of money to a lot of folks, the simple matter of improving the quality of life makes it worthwhile. And considering how long, and I will leave to you to decide whether it's due to political considerations, whether it's due to mismanagement of funds, whether it is due to a lack of foresight by our elected leaders, we've been putting up with this stuff for far too long, y'all. Far too long. And the sad thing on top of all of that, when you're talking infrastructure, things of this nature, the longer you wait to address it, the more it ends up costing. And under ordinary circumstances, if this were, I don't know, the mid-70s when we were just flush with oil and gas money, had so much revenue flowing in, we didn't know what to do with it, that would be one thing. But in a state that's economically depressed like ours, it is incumbent that we stay on top of these things. It's one of those circumstances where, again, y'all know me, you know I'm a big fan of old adages. You can pay me now or you can pay me later. And while the natural inclination for many people may be, well, I'll pay you later because things are a little tight right now, we oftentimes forget that when you pay them later, there's going to be interest. In the case of the Biden-Harris administration, ungodly inflation. So when you do get around to paying it later, it's going to cost you a heck of a lot more than it would have cost had you taken the opportunity, the resources, and the time to address it a long time ago. It is something that we will probably never be able to quantify as far as numbers and health effects are concerned, but there's no way anyone can tell me, sitting on I-10, 45 minutes to a minute and a quarter, hour and a quarter, hour and a half every day, 5 days a week, sucking on diesel fumes, gasoline exhaust, whatever may be emitted from plants in the area, there's no way you can make me believe that is not having an adverse impact on the health of the motoring public. At the end of the day, we should be better than this by now. And listen, y'all, I get it. I understand. Clarence, you know it's the leadership of the state. They neglected the infrastructure all those years. They let the darn problem get so big that, now it's almost impossible to overcome. I get all that. But at the end of the day, you do realize our young people, they see this every single day. Trying to navigate simply across the city becomes an entire adventure for an afternoon. And then we wonder why, with the lack of great paying jobs and all of this on top of that, we wonder why our kids, when they get that sheepskin, they jump on the first thing smoking and move someplace else. At the end of the day, we're the capital city, y'all. Pure and simple. And this is nothing against any of the other metropolitan areas in our state. Nothing against New Orleans, Lake Charles, Alec, Shreveport, Monroe. Nothing against those folks. But we're the capital city, y'all. And typically, you would expect that to be reflective of our standing. And when all is said and done, there's no justification for just about every other major metropolitan area in our state having alternate routes to get around their cities. That's just simply a lack of planning, a lack of foresight. And unfortunately, as is typically the case when you have that vacuum in leadership, it's the ordinary citizens that end up suffering because of it. It's the ordinary hardworking folk that sit in that traffic, ungodly traffic, every morning and every afternoon. It's ordinary folk that want nothing more than to simply travel across town, but they can't because one person not paying attention while driving causes an accident and shuts down the whole city. At some point, I will be extremely happy and very proud when my great state, and particularly the capital region, decides that we believe enough in ourselves to invest in ourselves. Because if we're not going to do it, who will? First break of today's show. All the consternation, the apprehension, all of it now moved to the next level as Russia officially, quote, invades Ukraine. We'll talk about that as we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Mandafine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Mandafine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Mandafine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
The Mazda Cx-30, named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. Perfect for the journey ahead.
Start your journey in a new Mazda Cx-30. Right here at Team Mazda on Airline.
Hi, gang. Clarence Bugs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Bugs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bugs Show. It is something that the entire world was hoping would not come to pass. And as is typically the case, if you're able to read between the lines and or are a student of history, you see these things coming ahead of time. There's been all sorts of saber rattling prior to Russia officially invading Ukraine, all sorts of rhetoric thrown around, and of course, the media using every opportunity available to further a narrative. Last night, I spent maybe 3.5 to 4 hours researching the intricacies of Russia and Ukraine. And it's one of those situations where if you were to draw a parallel, Afghanistan and its intricate, long-standing history of strife and conflict, this pretty much parallels that. I will be the first to admit, prior to researching this, and no, I did not use the mainstream media for my research, because you know your boy Clarence, he knows got a whole lot more common sense than that, but I digress. I had no idea of all the intricacies involved with Russia and Ukraine. It is a situation that, quite frankly, has a whole lot of frightening aspects, particularly as it pertains to getting involved in something that could very easily ultimately become the proverbial, quote, quagmire. It is something that, well, there's really no other way to say it. If we had strong leadership in the White House, chuckle, 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 probably would never happen. And I'll be honest with you, if I were in Ukraine, either in some official government capacity or as just an ordinary citizen, based on what I saw the U.S. military do in the withdrawal from Afghanistan, I would be scared to death right now. Our standing among the international community has been so greatly diminished that individuals like Vladimir Putin figure, well, it's a risk versus reward situation. And based on what I saw him do getting out of Afghanistan, if I'm going to pull some shenanigans, now's the time to do it. What is ominous here is that Ukraine is not a member of NATO. And NATO, the North American Treaty Organization, is rushing to the defense of Ukraine. Now, you have to go back through the history of this conflict to get a true understanding of Vladimir Putin's motivations and the feelings of, quote, everyday Ukrainians. The situation there is so convoluted. I've already acknowledged to myself, well, I spent like 4 hours last night researching this. I'm going to probably have to spend another 4 to 6 this evening to be able to really totally make sense out of the whole thing. What is bothersome about this to me, understanding the media, understanding how they view the public they are supposed to allegedly serve, and knowing how these folks operate, how all of this is going to be portrayed to the American people. For example, already CBS and CNN are running cover for the Biden-Harris administration. Yesterday, CBS tweeting out, be sure I get this right so I can give you the absolute quote. Here it is, quote, "The U.S. economy has been hit with increased gas prices, inflation, and supply chain issues due, wait for it, to the crisis in the Ukraine." You heard me right. Supply chain crisis, gas prices going up, inflation. Well, it's because of Ukraine. Where have these idiots been for the last 11 months? Where have they been? Where have they been living? What have they been doing? What have they been watching? But, you know, the old playbook tells you you never let a good crisis go to waste. If you can make some hay, if you can score some political brownie points, even though it's a crisis, well, don't let that sucker go to waste. Use it. So CBS and CNN would have you believe that the problems with the economy, the highest inflation in 40 years, and give them time. They hadn't figured it out just yet, but give them time. They're going to be able to figure out how Ukraine is responsible for what's happening at the southern border and crime increasing in American cities. Just give them time. They hadn't quite figured out how to BS you in that regard, but it probably won't be long. In between that and the favorite, systemic racism, they'll figure out a way to connect all of the dots to Ukraine. You know the good news here, y'all? You have, most of us, in your pocket, a device that will allow you to access, arguably, every single bit of information that mankind has compiled since the beginning of our species. So there is absolutely, positively, unequivocally no reason at all that you should be in the dark about things like this. There's no reason, y'all, other than you being just a lazy so-and-so, for you not knowing everything that's involved as far as the intricacies of Russia and Ukraine. Now, for God's sake, don't pull that device out of your pocket or the one sitting on your desktop. Don't pull it out and go to the mainstream media, because here, clear as a bell, another example of what they will try to pull on you. Yeah, the blind leading the blind. Good one, Marty. Good one, Marty. CBS News. This is CBS. Now you know why I call them CBS. All you got to do is watch them and listen to them, and you will see it's BS. The supply chain crisis, gas prices, inflation, it's all because of Ukraine. Ask yourself this. Let's say, for the sake of the conversation, they're right. How will that affect your thinking about whether or not America should get involved with boots on the grounds or more intricately involved in this? That's rhetorical. You don't have to answer. We already know. Well, if it's Ukraine that's responsible for me paying all this at the pump, we need to do something about this. Well, if it's Ukraine that's responsible, when I go to the grocery store, bought the same stuff I bought last week, but it ended up costing me $35 more, we need to do something about this. You see how they play you? You see how they play you, huh? At the end of the day, y'all, we should be, and in times like these, we have to be smarter than this. Because they have shown us in no uncertain terms, they will lie to us by omission and commission. They will bend the truth. They will break the truth. And they'll tell you all sorts of foolishness. How in God's name can you be aware of anything in this country for the last 12 months and then with a straight face blame Ukraine for the gas prices, inflation, and the supply chain crisis? I guess that tells you what they really think about your level of intelligence. Just an observation. Just an observation. Bottom of the hour break. We'll get this done. Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, he apparently has seen the light. But don't rush to any conclusion just yet. We'll talk about that when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Driver assistance technology comes standard on every Camry model as part of Toyota Safety Sense, setting the standard for safety every time you're on the road, no matter the destination. Save on your Camry today at Team Toyota, I-12 at O'Neill.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Fruge Jr., and I am a general dentist at Fruge Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. A little housekeeping before we get into this segment. I got to wait for Marty to get the broom. Bring the mop, too, while you're back there, bro. You want fries with that? You see how they treat the brother? You see how he treats the brother? Got to say a very special good morning to a couple of folks that really blessed me today. As you are probably aware, prior to launching this show, yours truly spent decades on radio. And in talk radio, you speak with people on a regular basis and you develop relationships with them through the radio. Obviously, you don't get to meet all of the people that you talk to regularly, but you know they're listening because they call in and give their opinions and so on and so forth. A guy that I spent the better part of 20 years talking to and had never met in person. Bruce took it upon himself to stop by 10655 Coursey Boulevard this morning and introduce himself in person. Bruce, love you like a brother, my friend, and it's so great. When I heard the voice, I was like, hey, I know you. And, of course, Colonel E., stopping in to get his barbecue on today. Another dear friend of the Clarence Bug Show radio version for many, many years. Just got back in town after an extended road trip. Y'all did an old boy's heart good to sit down and fellowship a little while, although not nearly as long as I would have liked, but time constraints being what they are, it is what it is. Which is why you hear me say all the time, you never know who you're going to run into if you stop in to get your barbecue grub on at 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Bug Show. Who would have ever thought that in Canada they watch or listen to the Clarence Bug Show? Who would have ever thought? What? Well, Justin Trudeau and I can't take credit for this, I'm being facetious, y'all. Justin Trudeau announcing yesterday that the crisis is over. So I'm going to rescind the Emergency Powers Act. Now, I will leave to you to decide whether you are going to take the little dictator at his word that the reason he is rescinding the emergency powers is because, quote, the crisis is over. I'll leave to you to decide how truthful he is in that regard. But as a caveat, let me throw this out there. The House of Commons gave him a vote earlier this week saying, well, we don't really like it, but based on how you framed it, okay, we'll vote for it. Canada's Senate, however, they wasn't going along with that. So instead of risking the proverbial backhanded slap from the upper chamber, Justin Trudeau read the handwriting on the wall and said, oh, the crisis is over, so we're going to rescind this. Meanwhile, there needs to be, when you go to register to vote, if you check as your party affiliation Democrat, there should be a tutorial around a shovel. Because in all likelihood, you're going to dig yourself a hole. And eventually, you're going to get to a point where the old adage will come into play. When you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Because all you're doing is making it worse. Stop digging. Enter, once again, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Mere hours after rescinding the Emergency Powers Act, Justin Trudeau comes out blasting Vladimir Putin for his dictatorial actions. The same guy, y'all, the very same guy who threatened to take truckers' property and sell it, cancel their insurance, seize their bank accounts, not just the truckers, but anyone who contributed any amount of money to this protest. Some people never showed up, only donated $20. He froze their bank accounts. Why? Well, because they dared protest for their freedom. And this guy, Mr. Cancel insurance, seize your property and sell it, and lock down your bank account, gets on the soapbox to demonize Vladimir Putin. Can you say pot, kettle? Y'all know the rest, just look at me. Can you say pot, calling the kettle black? Ooh, I didn't realize. I didn't even think about that before now. Pot calling kettle black, Justin Trudeau, the blackface scandal. That would be appropriate, would it not? He had a head start. Had a head start, yeah, there you go. You can't make this kind of stuff up. But this is how liberals / progressives, this is how they play you. This is how they operate. Remember I told you how Justin Trudeau, on the floor of the Canadian Parliament, insulted members of that body when he claimed, well, conservatives can hide behind SWAT stickers and rebel flags, directing those comments to a woman who is of Jewish ancestry and direct descendant of the Holocaust. But as good Democrats do, they're not going to leave another fellow Democrat out there by themselves. Oh no, you know what they do. They gang up, they form a caucus, and they collectivize their efforts at demonizing those they don't agree with, even though all they're doing is simply exercising their constitutional rights. I am not going to give this woman's name. You can find it out easily enough. But I'm not going to give her the publicity that she certainly does not warrant. This woman, member of parliament, in jumping on the demonization bandwagon, shortly after Justin Trudeau says, well, conservatives can hide behind SWAT stickers and rebel flags, this woman, the doofus that she is, comes out and says, honk, honk, which is what the truckers and members of the Freedom Convoy were doing. They're honking their horns. This doofus comes out and says, honk, honk is an acronym for Heil Hitler. Now, you know the first adage that came to my mind. You already know. It's better to let people think you're an idiot than it is to open your freaking mouth and remove all doubt. First of all, Madam Doofus, if you're going to insult someone, at least have enough self-respect to know the definition of the word that you're using to insult them. It's not a freaking acronym. Honk honk is an acronym for Heil Hitler. So what? Yeah. So what's meet me? What is that? Oh, that's white supremacy talk. Yeah, that's what it is. Meet me. Y'all never knew that about Roadrunner. He's white supremacist. You notice Roadrunner's a lighter color than Wile E. Coyote. He's brown skinned. Read between the lines, people. Read between the lines. Meet me, white supremacy. Honk honk is an acronym for Heil Hitler. Not only is it not an acronym, but what about all the truckers of color? What about all the people in Canada who look like me that supported the truckers? So when they beat their horns in support, they're saying Heil Hitler? As sad as that incident was, what is most troubling to a lot of Canadians is not a single member of parliament at the time she said that stood up and challenged her on it. See, that's how stuff gets started. And apparently, this doofus is of the opinion, well, my fellow Canadians and anybody watching in any other country, they're so stupid they'll never catch it. You see what they truly think about you? Just like yesterday, when I told you noted Democrat strategist James Carville on his podcast said, I wish we had a law to where you wouldn't be held liable. If you found out somebody's unvaccinated, you could just punch them in the face. Because they're a piece of, insert the S word here. How many black folk did James Carville over the years con into voting Democrat? And more important, How many black folk haven't gotten the shot that James Carville said he'd like to punch you in your face, you piece of, insert the S word here? I guess now you know how he really feels about you, don't you? Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close. Honk, honk. Meet me.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Mandafine Meats, the flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. As an addendum to the last segment, talking about Justin Trudeau now rescinding the Emergency Powers Act in Canada, claiming that the crisis is over, let me be sure to add that while that convoy may have ended, the people's convoy in this country is rolling on unabated. In case you don't know, you've been, living under the rock of the mainstream media for whatever period of time. You may not know that there are 3 convoys that are planning to converge on Washington, D.C. in time for the State of the Union address. We're talking thousands of individuals disgruntled, as their fellow citizens around the planet are with the COVID restrictions. It was announced yesterday that the Capitol Police in Washington, D.C. are requesting the National Guard be called out to help, quote, with traffic during the expected time frame of the convoys to arrive. One of the most egregious mistakes that Justin Trudeau made was that throughout the course of this entire thing, stomping on people's rights, threatening their constitutionally given freedoms, calling people all sorts of ugly names. If that weren't bad enough, one of the most egregious mistakes, my humble opinion only, that Justin Trudeau made was that he refused to sit down and meet with representatives of the convoy. It could have very easily been avoided, the ugliness of it all, had he simply decided to do what any good leader would do, and that's talk with the people he represents, and people particularly who are dissatisfied with his policies. It is my sincere hope, and I don't know how much realistically I expect it to happen, but you can't blame an old guy for trying. It's my sincere hope that the Biden-Harris administration will not make this same mistake. As a matter of fact, conventional wisdom would say they need to do the exact opposite. You need to welcome these folks to D.C. because these are the folks that you have sworn an oath to serve. These are the folks most directly impacted by your policies. These are the folks that make America run. So far be it from them at any point in time to ever take my advice on anything. But I think you'd be very well served in this instance to simply talk to the people. Now, it just occurred to me as it was coming up and coming out, I realized, bruh, you realize, do you not, that you are asking Joe Biden to talk with people? The guy that won't take questions, the guy that on any given day has trouble reading the freaking teleprompter, walking off, well, that's lumped under can't take questions or I'll get in trouble. I'm asking him to talk to people. But there's always more than one way to skin a cat. Send a high-level executive. Oh, I know. How about Kamala Harris? She's good at talking to people and getting stuff done. Oh, wait, never mind. At some point, you got to get ahead of the curve, y'all. At some point, again, remember our earlier conversation today? You can pay me now or you can pay me later. But rest assured, paying later comes with additional costs. And as if the Biden-Harris administration didn't already have enough other problems, as if you don't desperately need a win, as if you don't desperately need the American people, the American public, to say, you know what, maybe their policies are really screwed up, but at least they're still willing to talk with the American people. Now, I know what you're saying, those of us on the conservative side of the aisle. He hadn't talked to us yet. Why should he start now? Well, as in many things around everyday existence, there are seminal moments in time where you have an opportunity to do something that is in the best interest of those you serve, something that sends a very clear message. But if you miss that opportunity, things only get worse from there. This is a seminal moment, y'all. And say what you will. Yeah, I disagree with their policies. Yeah, I disagree with their attitudes. Yeah, I disagree with how they treat the American public. But I still have hope that somewhere down the line, these individuals will realize that what's best for the country should be all that matters. There's no way to put a pretty face on a picture of tens of thousands of Americans demonstrating against your policies, and you don't even have the decency to talk with them face to face about it. If you doubt the authenticity of that, ask everyday Canadians what they now feel about Justin Trudeau. With Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's approval numbers going around the bowl and getting ready to go down the hole, you need as much support and as much help as you can get. But unfortunately, liberals / progressives many times don't look at it that way. They see an erosion of their power. They see an awakening of the people, something that they dread like nobody's business. But at the end of the day, y'all, if it's good for America, that should be all that matters. And there's no way on God's green earth you can put a pretty picture, although CBS will probably try. There's no way you can paint a pretty picture of tens of thousands of Americans being dissatisfied to the point of taking it to the streets, and you don't have the decency or the respect for them to sit down and say, let's talk about it. Of course, now, based on what we've watched happen over the last 14 months, don't be surprised if that is the furthest thing from their minds. Just saying. Just saying. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Old School Barbecue is our home. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We tape the show live, as they do for Rocket Right Radio, the Roger Cador Show, Tiger's Roar, the whole nine. Come on by. We'd love to see you. My time's up, y'all, and I gotta go. But you already know the drill. That's right. America, we're not perfect. But for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you realize he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Then again, it really doesn't matter, because there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Love you much. God bless.